As I mentioned previously, it is the first weekend of fall. So the equinox was on Monday, and we are now getting into the full swing of fall. The weather might not have caught up with it quite yet, but you have probably noticed that it is pumpkin spice season. And everything kind of turns into pumpkin spice this time of year. I found myself in the Wawa just looking at the number of products that were pumpkin spice specialty seasonal. And the thing that's interesting about pumpkin spice is that there's not actually any pumpkin in it. If you go and get yourself a container of pumpkin spice, you will not only notice that there's no pumpkin in it, you'll notice that the ingredients are somewhat subject to opinion, because it can be different depending on which one you're going to get. And it's also not called pumpkin spice. It's called pumpkin pie spice, which makes you go, oh, well, that's where the pumpkin comes from. Because this stuff was actually created to go into pumpkin when you make a pumpkin pie, or some other wonderful pumpkin, or other, as Reen would point out, gourd-flavored, gourd-based confections this time of year. And it brings to mind, to me, the difference between a meaning and a connotation. Because the meaning of pumpkin spice is actually pumpkin pie spice, and it is that combination of ingredients that come along. But the connotation is it feels like fall. It feels like autumn. And whatever autumn means to you, maybe it's the end of summer, maybe it's the the end of those long drawn-out evenings and it gets darker earlier. Maybe it's about the leaves turning color and falling. Maybe it's about wearing sweaters. I haven't worn sweaters for a while. Maybe it's the smell of a wood-burning fire, whether it's outside or in the fireplace. In a lot of ways, that connotation of pumpkin spice is warm and cozy. And it is possible to have warm and cozy without having pumpkin spice, but pumpkin spice kind of brings it all to mind. It brings that connotation together. Pumpkin spice is actually came about very intentionally. And it happened in 2003. And it was done at the Liquid Lab. There's actually a Liquid Lab up in Seattle. It's the Starbucks, the confectionery where they're putting stuff together. And Starbucks had had a huge hit with their peppermint mocha drink for the holidays. And so the team was assigned to find something that would be equally good for fall. And so they spent a lot of time trying to figure out what would be good for that. And they came up with this pumpkin-flavored something or other. And it was going to be the pumpkin pie latte. But being marketing people, they came up with a PSL. Yeah, it's got a 3-letter acronym. It's got a TLA. It's a PSL, a pumpkin spice latte. They test marketed it in a couple of cities in 2003, and then it went nationwide or worldwide in 2004. Another great success of the Liquid Lab. And now we have pumpkin spice everything. So the words are important. And we use words to bring meaning to whatever it is that's going on, and that has a connotation. So when we say pumpkin spice or pumpkin pie spice, everybody kind of agrees that cinnamon goes in there, right? Cinnamon goes into pumpkin spice. And nutmeg is another one that goes into pumpkin spice. And allspice is another one. The classic also includes ginger, which some people don't think of. Other ones include cloves, which seems reasonable. Lemon peel, yep. There's actually lemon peel in the pumpkin pie spice that you get from the Trader Joe's. Some of them have cardamom. And this combination of flavors was actually invented in medieval times, and they used mace. So when's the last time that you reached for a jar of mace to make your fall seem that much better? The ingredients are optional. And the way that the ingredients fit together and how much pumpkin and what kind of pumpkin. And as Breen has pointed out, the best pumpkin pies are not made with pumpkins, they're made with different gourds because they bring a different flavor. And when you give somebody one of those much better than pumpkin pies, you don't have to tell them that it's not a pumpkin in there. You can. If you like sharing those sorts of details, you can. They'll just say, "Wow, this is a really good pumpkin pie." And the reason that I bring all of this stuff up is because our life has a flavor. And the act that we have of living intentionally, of observing who we are and what we are, the gifts that we have, the experiences that we've been having up until now, and the new experiences that we'd like to have, that whole process is about understanding not just the details of our life, not that I want this piece to come together and I want that relationship and I want... It's about the overall flavor. It's the overall texture and tone and timbre of the life that we are desiring. And pumpkin spice season is a reminder that we can spice it up a little bit. So the idea is, what would make your life feel sweeter or richer or spicier or more tasty? And what are the sorts of things that could happen that would bring that about? And we do the daily meditations a couple times a day, 8 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening. And the questions that come up are, or the topics that we are going to be praying for are all different. It's about harmony, it's about balance, it's about guidance, it's about love, it's about health, it's about comfort and vitality, it's about prosperity, all sorts of different things that are coming up. And what we do uniformly is identify, once I have that new experience, how will it feel? What will be the flavor? What will be the texture and the tone of the life that I'm having then? And what's the difference between that and the life that I'm having now? Because that's where this creative process really gets to work. If we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to continue getting what we've always gotten. That's just the way that it works. And that is either living on autopilot or letting the beliefs that we have be the beliefs that we were given, that we've grown up with, and not question them, not challenge them, not consider that something could be different. And I've done a lot of practicing and reflecting and studying of the manifesting technique that lots of people are proposing now. I did a manifesting challenge for 10 days just to see what it was like. And it's a very powerful practice, and it is an ability to change the experience of life that we're having. And the thing that was interesting about it is that there's not a spiritual component to it. It's all about doing it in our mind. And our mind will work. But our mind is limited to what our mind currently believes. So what we want to do is we want to be able to stretch what we believe is possible. And not the specific things that we think ought to happen. That I want that car to move so I can have that parking space. So that might be what happens. But if what I want to do is have that parking space, I get to back up a little bit and say, once I have that parking space, how am I going to feel? Is it going to be satisfaction? Is it going to be convenience? Is it going to be superiority? I got the parking space. What's the feeling that I'm going to have when I get that? And is that authentically how I want to feel? And then, is it okay if I feel that way without necessarily getting the thing that I've been describing? And in the teaching, we talk about outlining. And that's where we decide what it is we want to be experiencing, and we tell God how to do it. And or tell the universe how to do it, or tell our friends and partners how to do it. And maybe they play along and maybe they don't. But what happens is when we're trying to control the details so that we get to the destination that we want, we lose the possibility of having it come out and be even better. Now, I think I've told you guys before that I have had the best job in the world. And it's happened to be 9 or 10 different times. In completely different industries, in completely different situations and scenarios. And those have just been opportunities and gifts for me to share my talents in a way that brings richness to the world and uplift for me in the forms of success and also in the forms of income. And it's wonderful to be able to participate in that. And I couldn't tell you during greatest job in the world number 3 what greatest job in the world number 10 was going to look like. And the idea that I can tell the universe how this ought to work is ridiculous. I not only can't do it, I shouldn't try doing it, because if I try doing it, I'm going to be wrong. I've also had the experience of taking a job for all of the reasons that seemed reasonable to take the job, and be so darn miserable in the job that all I wanted to do was not have the job. So I remember the one time I got fired from a radio station job, and as the general manager was letting me go, I was thinking, I am so grateful. I wouldn't have had the nerve to quit this job, but I am so grateful to be out of here, to be done with this, to not have to just move back in with my parents. Leave Eastern Long Island. It was the Hamptons in the summertime. It should have been nice. It was not. And there have been times when I have desperately wanted a job and then gotten it, and it's not been a good fit for me. And there are other times where there's been a job possibility, and instead of saying, I want the job, I've said, I want this to be the perfect fit. So now what happens is that's the guidance. When somebody comes to me for a practitioner session and they've got a job opportunity coming up, I refuse to pray for them to get the job. I do not want to pray for somebody to get a job, because they might be one of those jobs that they love, that's great, that's wonderful, where everybody's happy. Or it might be one of those jobs that lasts 89 days because the boss wanted to take advantage of them and not have to pay health insurance. I had one of those once too. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It turned out not to be. What I pray for instead is perfect fit. To go into that job interview, to go into that experience. And the same thing works with relationships, it works with buying a car, it works with whatever it is that you're involved in. Instead of saying, this is what I want to have, say, this is how I want it to feel. And I want it to be obvious to everybody, to me, to the employer, to the person who I'm dating, to everybody, that this is just right. There is a perfect fit going on. This is good. This is like a love fest. And I've had those too. I had an interview where I was, it was a small company. And so I interviewed with the boss, and I interviewed with the person who was going to be, supervising me. And then we met with the entire team. And the group said by the end of that meeting, it felt like I'd been working for them for years. And that was one of the 9 great jobs. So those things are possible. Don't go for, I want this. Go for, I want to feel like this. I want to be uplifted like this. I want to have this pumpkin spice in my life. What's the tone? What's the flavor? What's the essence that you're looking for? Identify that. Use the words, but choose words that are based on a connotation. Maybe you can take a deep breath in and smell the wood fire. Maybe you can feel warm and cozy even if you don't have a sweater on. Maybe there's good unfolding for you somehow that's exactly the way that you thought it was going to, or so unexpected and surprising that that feeling is coming from this direction, and still the good unfolds. So, fall is going to be continuing for a while. You have time to practice. You can go get yourself a PSL if you'd like to and celebrate the fact that it's got a TLA. And bring some spice into your life, because you deserve it. You are wonderful. And so it is.